Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Art Classes My Way, where this is art classes your way. You tell me what you want to learn and I will try to my best to get around to making a video of it. Otherwise it's going to be literally art classes my way, and I'd rather it be the other way around. Okay, so today's little video is going to be about fall trees. Pretty good little subject considering what time of year it is. November. But, so I got this idea from somebody at my work who was having a problem making her yellow trees really pop for her pictures. So I'm hoping to help you guys, anybody else who is having the exact same issue here. So this isn't going to be a full, complete painting or anything. This is just basically going to be very, very simple. And if you're wondering what is up with the texture I got going on with my board here, this is a canvas board. What's going on with the texture is that there was a painting underneath this already, and I just covered it with white. I do a lot of classes and things like that, and rather than buying 100,000 boards for very, very simple classes, and I just paint over the top of them and start a new one. So this is one of the awesome things about acrylic paints. So I am just going to get a little bit of yellow going here on my palette. Fun little looking thing. And this is just cadmium yellow. Using up what's left of this god-awful little nugget there. It's probably the only thing I really don't like about acrylics, or at least this brand that I'm currently messing with, is the caps keep breaking very, very easily, and it's not like they sell the caps separately, so I have to deal with what I got. And let's see here, some ultramarine blue. Yep, that one just snapped off too. And what else? Now let's go with, we'll see, maybe some cerulean blue here. Get that cap off without breaking it, hopefully. There we go. Alright. Okay, so I think those are pretty much going to be the only colors I'm going to use. I might use some Azurean crimson, but we'll see. Alright, got my water here, got my paintbrush, and hopefully this has dried enough. So I find that when people go to paint their trees, they either leave the background a very, very pale color, verge of white, something that's kind of off-white, what have you. And I think that is one of the issues they tend to have. By doing it that way, making it so pale, your yellow trees are just going to fade away into the background. And this is going to be pretty much a class not only on value, but color theory as well. So I am just going to lay down some nice cerulean blue here. And like I said, this is just going to be a very, very simple. This isn't going to be a complete painting or anything. Just showing you some of the techniques that I will be talking about here. Some more of you on my brush. And I am mixing a little bit of water as I go, so that way it'll fill in these pecks, white pecks that you can see going on. This is what I've always called them. I don't know if that's the exact technical term for what those guys are. Now I didn't add any water to that at all, so I'm going to dip my brush a little bit, mix the water in directly on the canvas here. A little bit more water in here just to kind of even this out just a little bit. Like I said though, I'm not going to worry too much about this background or anything. It will do. Now I went with a lot pure darker blue or a more vivid blue going on here because now my leaves are not going to blend in and bleach out with the with my background sky color. Clean my brush off here. And, well, I guess I'm going to just go ahead and grab my Brazilian red. Its cap came off too, so I'm going to have to stab. There we are. The dried paint layer on the outside of the tube of paint. Looks like I'm gonna have to stab him again. Whoever knew painting was so violent. Alright. Yeah, I might have ended up being too much. Oh well. And while I am waiting for all that lovely, lovely blue to dry, I'm going to mix me up a very, very deep brown. So that's going to be your yellow, your blue, and your red. Believe it or not, I've had classes where people did not get that concept. And you're probably going to want it a little bit more on the blue side of a brown. And remember, a little touch of blue goes a very, very long way. So if you think you've like overdone it with the blue, then just pick up what color you got mixed that isn't quite as blue and move to a different area rather than trying to mix all that paint back to the brown color. Otherwise, you're going to end up with way more brown color than you need and not enough. And I mean, you're just going to be squeezing paint out, just trying to compensate, and it's going to take you forever. All right, I'm just about got what I wanted here. There we go. Takes a little bit of time to mix. All right. And now, one of the things I like about using this brush here is that nice flat brush. It's got a nice flat end to it, so it's a little bit easier to make areas of trees or what have you, because you got that nice little point on the end as we're going. And I'm not worrying about making this absolutely perfect, crinkly little limbs or anything, because a good chunk of this is going to end up, if not all of it's going to end up being covered up by yellow paint for the tree itself. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. The perfection of my limbs. kind of make him a nice and craggly tree. Make words today. For our fall tree, so that way he looks really spooky. Of course, it's after Halloween, but oh well, I don't care. I love Halloween. I was very disappointed when I finally moved into the city. Now there's all these truck parking things and all these, what do you call them? Church trick-or-treat things that trick-or-treaters just don't go around house to house anymore. So what's really the point? I only have one family who's come by about 2 years in a row now, and despite how much candy I buy or whatever, I don't get anybody else ever show up. So what's the point? It's just kind of sad. Nobody out there Halloweening anymore. Think about it, not really anybody out there doing Thanksgiving anymore either. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working on Thanksgiving all the time. Actually spend time with my family, but oh well. Holidays are for retired people and rich people. It's not for anybody else anymore. Okay. Let's put one down here a little bit. There we go. All right, well, I'm going to give this a moment to dry, and I'm going to use my little time machine, and I'll be right back. See you soon. All right, so it's kind of dried a little bit more. So the blue in the background is pretty dry, and the tree is just a tiny bit tacky. So because he's tacky, we can kind of move on. So I'm going to grab my fan brush here, and I am going to make myself some green. Green for a yellow tree? Wait a minute now. I know. But trust me on this. Alright. So I have got myself a pretty nice little army green going on here. That I'm just laying down. But I'm only going to lay it down on one side of my tree. And I only have paint on the bottom half of my brush. And I'm just pat. I might put a little in here, a little over here. And I might have to mix some more. Now, I really wouldn't recommend mixing any water with your... at this point with your paint, because you want it to start to cover up your limbs. If you add water to it, it's going to make it a little bit more transparent like a watercolor, and then it's going to be nearly impossible to cover up those limbs. So now I got my green down, my darker green. I am going to mix myself a very light green to go over the top of that in some areas. Now, I know it doesn't look like a light green going on so much. It's starting to kind of look more yellow probably to you, but it is just a little bit more on the green side. If you just look at the brush against a white background, that's color in relation to what's going on around it. It's going to look more yellow because of all this blue, and then you got this really dark green in the background. It's just going to make it more on the yellow side in appearance. Now, I gotta quit that habit. I'm gonna grab some of my cerulean blue. I ran out earlier. There we go. And I'm going to mix him into what I currently just made up. This is going to get me a very, very springy green. That blue will. And you want it, basically you're going to take just a tiny amount of that cerulean and mix it in with just a humongous glob of your yellow. Because again, blue goes a long, long way. No matter what color or what shade of blue it is, blue just does what it wishes to do. Want more. More spring, come on. Get more yellow. How much more of this yellow can I squeeze out of this poor little tube? We will find out. After I get done torturing it to death. All right. Now we just want a little bit of the springier looking green to come out to this side, but not a whole lot. This is where we're going to start focusing more on this side of the tree. Now, the reasoning behind doing this is because leaves change colors because of frost, I was always told. The frost landing on one side of the tree, which is how it does. If you've ever gone out to your vehicle and there's been frost on the front windshield, but all the other windows are like perfectly fine, well, that's why. It's because your vehicle will only frost comes from a direction, believe it or not, especially if it's been windy or whatever. The side that the wind hits is going to be the part that's going to freeze a little faster. At least that's always been my understanding of it. So that's why we have it coming along one side, and that is why you will, if you've ever really paid attention to trees, that is why one side will have more color than the other. And that's probably one of the more crucial things about making fall trees. Separate my bristles a little bit. That a lot of people don't realize. The crucial part, especially for a yellow tree, is the dark greens that you put in before you put in those bright, bright yellows. This is extremely crucial to build up some of those darker parts for that yellow to really pop off of and really come forward on. Otherwise, if you just put straight yellow on there, it's not going to pop because it has nothing to pop against, even if you did have a bluer background. Now I'm going to just take some straight yellow. Need a lot more than that. Like I said, I really want to get this tube used up. Get my little tube. There we go. Clean my brush off a little bit here. Some of that water off and back to the straight yellow. All right. And I'm putting this on really, really thick with my brush. So that way it can mix with some of this background colors. That's fine. because we can always let it dry and let it build and build and build. Now I'm even going to take some of the straight yellow and kind of come over to where all my dark greens are. There goes that cat again. He's probably got one of my jewelry projects. Yes, he does. Oh, you bad cat. Now I'm coming over here with just the bristles being a little bit on the frayed side, so that way I can just lay down some straight yellow a little bit more sporadically. There we go. All right, now, guess what? We're back to letting him dry a little bit more again. So, time machine, see you soon. All right, we got some drying going on, and I'm going in with a very, very pale yellow, mix quite a bit of white with that, and I am just accenting a few areas here throughout the tree. Trying to use this to kind of define some of the different layers of branches going on. And again, this is pretty much predominantly going to be on just this side of the tree. All right. And I'm going to go back in there with some straight yellow. A little bit of a leaning trees going this direction mostly. There we go, looking lovely. All right. Now, for those individuals who like to put a little bit of blush into their yellow trees, that is when, one, I would wait for this to completely dry. I am not going to go ahead and do that, but that's when we grab some water with our cerulean red, and very, very carefully we are just going to select very few areas to highlight and kind of blush a little bit. Because normally when you see trees that are turning yellow, they don't very often go to red. And if they do, it's normally very, very tiny amounts. And by the time they start really turning red, all the leaves are coming off. And there we have it. Very, very small amount, and like I said, mixed with a little bit of water so that way you don't overdo it. And a lot like blue, a touch of red can go a very, very long way. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to mix some red and some yellow. I never know when to quit. Red and yellow, come on. Whatever I have left here just to play around with, it's already out of the tube, you can't put it back in. Just some flicks going on. Boo, boo, boo. Nice fire grass going. Not like I really painted a ground for this guy to sit on anyway. Just playing. Wonderful little field. A little touch of water going on. Ah, too much fun, right? Let's see what else we can mess with. Get some of my yellowy white. Give it the look. Leaves having fallen off a little bit. It's a little strong right now, so I'm going to give them a moment to dry and probably go over them with a bit of a glaze. Now I'm going to get a round brush with a touch of blue, watered down, because this is going to be a glaze going over the top here, and what I mean by a glaze, a transparent layer. So I'm just going to go over this side of the tree with it. A little much. Get some of that off of there. All right. There we go. Allows some of the other colors from underneath to come through, but still allows him to look a little bit shadowed. See, you don't need black shadow all the time. And sometimes just by the greens that we were putting in here earlier, well, I don't want to put a darker green to show shadowing, which, yeah, in a technical way you could say, oh, that's how it would be. But you end up in filling things in too much that way, and it just fills the whole piece in. So if I don't want to fill the whole piece in, just get a little bit of this blue, water it down, make a nice little glaze so that way the bottom layer is still showing up, but it adds enough of a difference that it feels like shadowed areas. I really never know when to stop, even when I'm just trying to do a short little video. I just cannot stop. Oh, I'm terrible. I just love... This is part of the some of the things I have a problem with making videos. I know even though I plan to make a nice short one, I just cannot stop myself because I'm having way too much fun. And then before I know it, oh, it's like 2 a.m. Damn it. Yeah, this is still pretty wet, so it's not quite going. I don't want to go too much further that direction, but I would like to still continue with this idea But I'm going to have to wait for this direction to dry a little bit more in order to get that glaze going more the way I want it to. Because he's just picking up paint and picking up paint, and it's not being a glaze anymore. But come down here into this grass a little bit, and we can do the exact same thing. I'm just the tips of this little brush. That is all I'm using. And that's the way you should use all your brushes. Just the little, that's what the ends of the bristles are for. If you get it up into the body of your paintbrush, then you're just going to be wasting all your paint. And that is just no good. All right. Fun stuff. Be back as soon as he dries. All right, now I'm going to continue on with my blue glaze now that I got my paint's a little bit drier. Now you might be asking, well, why does that really matter? I mean, it was mixing, it was making a darker green and yada yada yada. Why does it matter if the paint is drier? Well, the paint, it doesn't necessarily matter. You're right to that point. The only thing is, though, that as I'm doing this, when it was wet, it was taking away the previous pattern that was laying underneath, and it wasn't laying on top of what I'd already put down. Now, that's a big deal because it changes the pattern, which by the color, it looks like, oh, it's receding backwards, it's a lighter color. But by the pattern was laying on top again because, you know, it was changed, it was newer than the pattern previous, so the patterns didn't quite match up, and it makes it look like it's an equal distance as opposed to looking like it's laid further backwards. There we go. If that makes any sense whatsoever, I might just be rambling. A little more water. Now you're probably seeing me use my finger a lot in this, and I kind of use my finger like a blender to help blend things out just a little bit. It's just something you kind of get a feel for over time. Kind of the same thing as using a piece of paper or paper towel to like dab and lighten up certain areas. Same difference, just for smaller areas. right. Let me go back through here and grab some of my yellow again. Just brighten up a few more areas. The thing is with yellow, when you're doing yellow trees, you're going to use a lot of yellow, no matter what you do. Especially if you have a background pre-painted or anything. And that's because yellow is very transparent and oh, sorry. My phone decided to pull a trick on me here. Yellow is very transparent, so if we take a little bit of it and we're going over this area here, you can see I haven't spread out that yellow very much, and there's all this red still peeking through. It's very, very transparent, very, very translucent. So it takes a lot of building and building and building to really keep those greens and blues from peeking through a whole bunch. So it's just one of those things where it takes layers. If you want that tree to be nice and bright. Or you can just leave the background white and then kind of do it in reverse. Almost like watercolor, really, from that point. But that's traditionally not how acrylics are used. Now, even if we watered this blue background down, we'd still be having the exact same issue. Maybe not have to go over it quite so much with so many layers, but still, same thing. It's just something that takes time. Again, if you've watched any of my other varieties of videos, especially my drawing video, I find that a lot of people find that they don't have the patience to do, for instance, shading. Well, you know what? Not all art is done quickly. While this may have been done quickly, true, but I have a load of experience. Plus, I've also been pausing and, you know, I've so far cleaned my oven while waiting for this to dry in between takes. I've done my dishes. I've also taken a shower. And it's not necessarily quick and speedy, especially if you watch videos like this. They're paused. They're worked on. And really professionals, such as myself and other probably YouTubers who make YouTube videos, we've been doing this for a lot of years, or at least more than a year or two anyway. So yeah, we are going to do a lot of this stuff very fast and very quickly. But we also have the experience built up to do it. It's not something that happens overnight. And it's something a lot of us have studied and really, really worked on. Not saying that you yourselves could not get that way, but when you're starting off, if you're watching my beginner videos to find out how to do something, you're not going to be doing all this quickly. So take your time. Enjoy what you're doing. And it's something that's worth doing is worth the time to do it. All right. And there we have it. That's probably about as far as I want to go for a beginner's class. There is tons and tons more that we can do with this to make it look more realistic and just keep on going. But for a beginner class, I think that'll work out pretty darn good. You can continue with your background, you can continue with your sky, you can keep putting details into your tree, finish out knot holes, put animals around it, what have you. There's tons more that you can do with this, but the whole point of this video was to show how to make your yellow trees feel vibrant and bright, as opposed to just hiding in the background and not popping off of the picture at you. So I really do hope this helped you guys. Please let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe if you will. Also, sharing helps me out a great deal. And do leave comments in the comments section. Let me know what you would like to learn, what you're having a hard time doing. I am here to help you guys. So do let me know. And again, this is Art Classes My Way from Naughty Dog Studio and Naughty Dog Jewelry. And you can also help us out by visiting our Etsy page at Naughty Dog Studios and our Facebook page at Naughty Dog Jewelry. And I do hope you guys really found some help in this. I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening, and thanks for hanging out. Bye!